Hey guys, how's it going? And all I have to say is, what was that? What was that? I am going to back up and share my thoughts in a second, but I just have to share this, okay? I'm not going to share my page, okay? I have to redo my whole entire OBS for many different reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. But I'm looking at the Screen Times X account, okay? And I'm scrolling through it. And I have to admit, there might have been moments, like positive moments people have talked about in this episode. And I definitely have some positive moments from this episode. But nobody is satisfied. And I'm going to get into why. Different reasons I'm seeing. But I'm basically seeing everyone's pretty disappointed. Okay? And let's back up, because this gets into it a little bit. And I have not shared my feelings about it on YouTube. Okay? I have been pretty vocal about it on X. Okay? I was hoping and I was concerned on YouTube that we were going to get into Earth X. And personally, as far as a story goes, I don't really have a problem with someone telling a story about Earth X. But, and this was before the death of Charlie Kirk, I was concerned about it in general because of the way that people are on the internet. And I even said before Charlie Kirk passed away that the worst of the worst of people on either side were going to just be terrible when it's revealed that Earth X was this alternate world that Chris was going to be going to. And then when Charlie Kirk passed away, sadly, I was correct. And the worst part about it was when people were, finding anything they could do to call someone they disagree with, the Yahtzee word. And then when you get into the show, there's two statements that, James Gunn writes in the show that kind of makes the statement about the average viewer that he may not politically agree with outside of here that has nothing to do with the Yahtzees. And that was eye-rolly, for sure. Even I've seen YouTube people who seem to be somewhat centrist even admit that that was eye-rolly. Okay? But for me, as far as doing a show, it ending with episode 7, I have to admit, didn't feel like enough. You opened this world. You did this. You brought this subject matter into this world. And then that's how you're going to end it? Seemed odd. Seemed confusing. And, you wonder where they're going to go next because you only got one episode. And I remember saying, if they're going to wrap all this up and make it exciting because they're basically telling a whole new show, it seemed like they needed to do something really impactful, really crazy. And when you listen to James Gunn, everything was crazy. Everything was going to be nuts, promising these crazy cameos and all these different things. And so it would be one thing if it was the fans' expectations hyping this stuff up. But it was him. And honestly, comments that have probably made people go away from the show about how he handled certain things was because of him. And so you get the ending of the show and you're confused. And what's sad is, to me, everything in the show was good. And I do feel like if he would have tempered down, expectations, if he wouldn't have been as just like, this is going to be this crazy thing, then people would have had lower expectations. And it is interesting. The Salvation Earth, they're calling Salvation, is interesting. Someone's already pulled up the storyline that I have to admit I have not read Countdown to Final Crisis. I kind of want to go through my DC event order and eventually read all the DC events. And I just have not read Final Crisis, Countdown, haven't read Final Crisis or the Countdown to Final Crisis. Okay? Just being honest. But it's interesting. It's interesting. But that was it. When you make the statements, and that's what you give us, that was it. That's all we're getting. And to me, if you're going to do Earth X, do Earth X. If you're going to do this, do this. I mean, and clearly this that they're doing is going to tie into the Superman movie. Cool. Fine. Awesome. Cool. But it just seems like there wasn't much thought, which is some of my criticism. I listened to written a long thing about episode 7. It just seems like there was a lot of heart put into this. But thinking about the audience, let me put it that way. When you're thinking about the audience, it doesn't feel like there was much thought put into this. And I would have rather, to be honest with you, if you were going to do this, I would rather have focused more on Earth X. And what's crazy is there was some good emotional beats. Like Adebayo's scene with Peacemaker was good. That was a good scene where they're all together. I am flabbergasted. I'm really shocked and surprised that you the creator of this show, hyped this up to be something that it's okay that it's not, but you hyped it up to be something that it wasn't. And the fact that this would have been okay if you wouldn't have done what you did seems confusing to me. And I was hoping because I have grievances with some things that he purposely chose to do with episode 7. That he purposely chose to make statements about our world and the Nazi world. And some of you are going to completely agree with it. And some of you, I don't even know if you understand what those ideas even are. And then some of you are going to agree with me, and some of you are going to just be passive either way. But to me, it's either you stay on that earth to liberate that earth, or you maybe make that like 4 episodes. Like we were spending 30 minutes on dealing with, Earth X. 30-minute episodes. We could have had 50-something minute episodes, hour episodes of the show, which would be normal for like a Netflix type show. Any of these type shows, HBO Max, like Game of Thrones, those episodes are pretty long. We could have had 50-something minute episodes and covered Earth X in like 4 to 5 episodes, which it gave us plenty of time to set up some cool ideas with this Salvation planet. We could have spent a whole episode just dealing with cool action scenes and cool things with the zombie Earth and all those different things. You could have gave the audience some cool stuff to watch. And then, tidied all that up to where when Peacemaker gets to that, it doesn't feel like that was it. You could have gave us a lot more. You chose not to. And maybe if you just would have been honest about the cost of the show and all the things with the show, it would have been a lot better. And then part of me is like, where did the money go? I guess the little gremlins cost that much. But from my understanding, a lot of the money was saved for this last episode. Did you spend all the money to get the 2 different bands to do their performances for the show? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, okay? That's part of the reason why I haven't been doing weekly episodes. Because the reviews and stuff. Because I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. And I, honestly, when I put stuff on this channel, even though I've thought about doing actual nerd culture type stuff on this channel, I want to separate it from when I talk positive about things, because I understand those audiences are 2 different groups of people. There's some people who just want to talk about the things that excite them because that helps you escape from the real world. And I get that. And I appreciate that. And then some of you are more aware about the things that are going on in the world and are more involved with the cultural aspects of this and want to be informed on those things. I get that. But when I do reviews, it would be, especially with DC, it's like I want to enjoy it. I want to be excited about it. And like I said, there's elements of this episode that were good. The checkmate stuff is interesting. The salvation stuff is interesting. But you as the creator promised something that you did not deliver. And, I wonder how he's gonna take the reception of this, because Screen Time, I don't think has a political point of view of any kind. And I promise you, I'm looking at the comments. I am not seeing much praise for this show. Someone just said, type of episode you put in the middle of a 5th season. It's like literally something you put in the middle of a show that you chose to make your ending. And I'm okay with making that the ending, but that's all. I mean, I don't know. I do say this. Peacemaker is definitely going to be a part of Superman. I think that's a given because this is supposed to directly tie into Superman. I guess we know how. And Checkmate, I don't know if we're going to see Checkmate involved with Superman, but we are eventually going to see Checkmate, I definitely think, involved with some other things that, Amanda Waller, the Amanda Waller show, I think will dive in a little bit more to Checkmate. And they might, instead of calling it Amanda Waller, they might just be calling it Checkmate. It might just be the Checkmate show, which is going to be the new, lower end, not as financially costing show that DC will do. Because the Green Lantern show, hopefully, is going to have a much bigger budget and did have a much bigger budget than Peacemaker did. Hopefully we see more stuff in Green Lanterns than we did see in Peacemaker. I'm just shocked. And maybe my expectations were too high. And like I said, there's a lot of good. I'm just perplexed. I'm rambling. I know I'm rambling. So guys, what about you? What do you think? Okay? Like I said, I had concerns with Earth X, not because of the show itself, even though I didn't care for 2 comments that James Gunn made about, his comparisons to our world, but I was more annoyed with Earth X because I knew what the audience was going to be like, especially on the internet. And now I'm just like, why even do that? Like, if you weren't going to fully do it, why even do it? I have other opinions on that. You can check my X account if you want to see those. But like I said, this episode, I am just perplexed. I'm perplexed. I feel like we're missing an episode. I think this would have been a good episode before the finale, maybe. Tie up a lot of things. You have the big things, and when the finale comes, you can just see some really cool stuff. Some really cool action. Reward the audience for their time and effort for this show. And you didn't you didn't give it to us, man. You didn't give it to us. So like I said, uh, I'm not seeing anything. I'm still looking. I'm just curious. And I'm not seeing anything good. I'm not seeing anything good. So anyway, guys, put your comments down below. Tell me if I'm crazy. And guys, no matter what, this weekend, I hope you guys, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a good one. All right. And yeah. Peace.